Hi guys, I'm Scott Brown, a developer for the game Journey for the Crown, and this is my 9th devlog. In this devlog, I'm going to show you a couple things that I added. The first thing was I wanted to be able to add in adventures or quests that if you had certain characters on your team at the discovery of this adventure or quest, you'd be prevented from actually getting the reward. So in this case, I'm just typing some XML data in here that if I have a character Aldous on my team, I'm not going to be able to get the reward of this crate. He's going to prevent me, and he's just basically going to say, let's not steal from the king, and that kind of blocks you. Now, if you don't have him on your team, you can actually bypass it and get the reward. So here I'm just going to show you how it acts when I do have him on my team, and he responds saying, no, let's not steal. Now I'm going to reload the game, and just going to open up my developer portal there and just send them to the inn and reload it, and you can see here I ended up getting the reward of those sleeves. And I'm just going to pass them over to my main character who can actually wear a cloth and equip them. Now I also wanted to make something where you just had to click on the secret and the items would appear. Now you can see here they kind of went into the other room, so I'm going to have to go ahead and fix that as well. Now normally these items are just randomly picking a direction to drop because it's usually used for enemies, but in this case I added this empty game object here, and I'm going to just tell the animation of that item when it drops to go to that direction. So you can see here I'm just going to click on it, and you can observe the two items being thrown exactly where I told it to go. So that's something that works in conjunction with this already existing script. And just adding further to this, I created pick locking, which is a rogue statistic. So having a rogue on your team is going to give you access to explore areas that you normally can't explore. Now the next thing I want to do is add a portrait to this dialogue you have with this dwarf in the lounge. He doesn't have one on the left-hand side, so I'm going to go ahead and create that. Now I find these images on the internet on a website called This Person Doesn't Exist. I do paint a majority of them myself, but it takes so long. So I can take a shortcut here with this guy, and I'll just apply some Photoshop filters and kind of draw the outfit that he's wearing so it at least matches what you see in game. And I'm going to apply some shadows and lights to his face so it looks more like a painted image. Now this isn't going to take me too long. It took me about 20 minutes. I'm fast tracking it right now. But I'll cater the 3D model as well so that he doesn't have, or he has the right colored hair. And as you can see here, his portrait does appear and the dialogue looks much better. Now one new addition that I added was a bug and feedback reporting system. Now I picked this up on the asset store. It's actually, it was on sale. It's just called feedback form. Now, I had to make some adjustments to it, but essentially it was designed to send a picture and a subject along with some other fields here. Now, I also wanted to get the save file, so I had actually coded in some additional things that it wanted to grab, and I tied in this save file. So that way, if you have some really strange bug and I'm not able to recreate it, at least I have your save file to go with it. So here I am just sending in a bug report and just making something up and sending it through. And if you wait a little second, it actually will provide you with a little like pop-up that says that it's been sent correctly. And I'm going to go check it out, and it all gets piped into Trello, which is pretty cool. And there's just the way it's displayed with the priority in red. You can see all the details that I'm grabbing. Like here's a picture, exactly what I saw on my screen being transferred over. And the details that I put in there, and all 3 files. So there's the slot 3. That is basically my 3rd save file. And that way, I think this is going to be really, really easy to debug and fix problems that I see in the game, because recreating experiences that people encountered in the game that are bad is probably going to be a big times thing. So I think this is really going to help. Now, while I was watching one of my friends stream, he had actually pulled out one of my devlogs and was watching last week's devlog where I talk about optimizing space. And he brought up the compression when you go to build your game. And now there's several different types of compressions, and I just had it set to default. And the result was actually a fairly large build. Now, if you choose one of the other ones there, it actually will make a more compressed version of your game. Now, I went and researched it, and sure enough, I learned something that day, was that other compression was for a release. Now this does take longer to build, but the result is much different. You can see there's a total different size, and the file quantities are also reduced. Now the next thing I needed to do was revamp the stat system. What I ended up finding was with the current stat system and how you play a main class and you choose 2 subclasses of each character in your team, the stats just weren't working well. So what I ended up doing was separating each stat so they had a particular area they increase. So for instance, intelligence will increase the amount of power or magic power that your spells will do. So by increasing that, you'll be able to heal more and deal more damage. And wisdom will actually be more about increasing your mana pool so you can do more of that. So a balance between the two is going to be essential for pretty much any character that's magic oriented. As you can see here, I'm increasing the wisdom, and I still do get a little bit of power increase, but it's just not as much as intelligence. So they still do help those other areas a little bit, but it's just different potencies passed around. Now, I did the same thing as well for dexterity and strength, but it operates a little differently. Now, constitution is your main stat for increasing your health. By increasing that, you do get a different rate, and it also applies a little bit of stamina as well. Now, stamina is one of those other areas where if you don't have enough of it, your spells just end up exhausting you really fast. So Constitution is an essential stat that almost any class in the game is going to need. Now, with this change, each stat has its area that it increases, and it's very clear, and I think it really adds a lot of interesting dynamics to your character creation. Now the reason I'm doing this is there's a lot of spells in the game that debuff your targets, and I was just finding that statistics were really not playing a big enough part in the game, and I think they should. So as you can see here, this staff attack hits for 7 damage, and now it's hitting for 9 when you contribute all the boosts and stats that I'm getting. So I wanted to make sure that stats are playing a big part, so when you get debuffed or you get some new stats, they're actually recognizably doing something, where before they weren't. Now I'm going to test here some of my healing. And I have 2 heals on this guy here, a little tiny one that hits for about 5 base, and then you get a bonus of 2, so that's about 50%. And this other one here has a base damage of 40, but it's landing for 59. So as you can see here, I have a magic power of 48. So if I do the math, I believe 40 times 1.48 is going to be 59 and a little bit. So it's going to round down that number, just because you don't want to see decimal points in here. And as I go to cast that spell, I should see a value of 59. So the statistics are working perfectly. Everything's in there correctly. And I think as you acquire new items and stuff like that, it's going to be pretty exciting to see the differences. Now last weekend, I released the demo over on Twitch and had a bunch of viewers playing the game and sending in different bug reports that I didn't know existed. It was a lot of fun. We got tons done, and I was able to live stream all the fixes. And I thought it was very entertaining for the viewers to be watching. Now, if you want to, you can also partake in that next Saturday, where I'll be doing live stream and doing all the fixes right there. Now, if you haven't already, head on over to Steam and wishlist the game. I should have a demo up there very soon for you guys to play, and you can add it to your Steam library. So that's going to be an exciting day for me. Now that wraps this devlog up. I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Thanks.